It is a massive day in the world of horse racing, and Woodbine Mohawk Park is part of that equation. Thus, we bring out the big star, that being Elisa Blow, alongside yours truly, this being Jeff Bratt. Yes, April the 5th, always a big, big day. Why, you ask? Well, it starts in the morning time with the Dubai World Cup, then some major preps for the Kentucky Derby taking place all around the States. And then tonight, my friend, we have the New Holland series that does continue.
Yes, exactly. Like it's spring, finally.
Yes.
And that's the sign when all these big races start to take place because, you know, we're starting to figure out just who is going to be in the Kentucky Derby. We're excited because we're on the countdown to opening day of Woodbine. First day there is April 26th. We kind of wish it was tomorrow, right?
It's I never said this when it was school, but I'm kind of sick of summer.
I know,
my summer
I'm
vacation.
ready.
I'm ready to go back to school.
Me too. To use a horse term, we are chomping at the bit for opening day.
Yes, we are kicking down the barn right now, which is terrific to see. By the way, kudos to you yesterday because you did something that not a lot of handicappers have had success doing. You had a post-10 winner. Post 10 has not done very well so far this year, and neither has Post 9. Post 9 won a couple of races last night, and Post 10 gave you a win on the
we got
program
a pretty good price on that horse also. So, you know, I just thought the horse has coming into the race with a ton of confidence, and we'd see a really good drive, and we did. A good night, too, last night for Dougie. He had 3 wins on the program. Louis had 3 wins on the program, and our friend James just the one in the last race with Chickabell.
He'll be okay.
I'm sure he'll get over it.
He will be okay, but it was this time last week when it was rain, and then it turned to freezing rain, and then unfortunately we had to cancel halfway through the card, and it was a bit of a messy night, and thus we have the New Holland tonight. It was to take place on last Saturday's program. What's with you and I and do-overs of big races, the plate and now the New Holland, but my question to you is, as we take a look at the New Holland Pacing Series final key contender in this race, this being Brew Hanover, is this going to be the same thing that's going to happen as to what happened with the Trotters, where Fashion Frenzy rolled through the series, then New Rules turned the tables? Can somebody turn the tables tonight on Brew Hanover, or do you think he's too tough?
Well, if somebody can, I think you and I are on the same horse as a possible upsetter, that being Emmett's Buddy, right?
Yep.
I mean, he raced so well last week. If there's anybody who can pull off an upset, it's Emmett. But Brew Hanover, you and I were working together the very first time this horse raced on March the 15th, and I know he kind of got out coming down the stretch.
Same thing here.
You know, same thing here. Not as bad as he did that first time, and we'll see what he does tonight because I don't know if this is a trick that he has. And also, what will we see next with him? Will he stick around here in Ontario and compete, or will he go back down south of the border?
And what about the year that Dave Manery's having? I mean, everything is touching his absolute gold right now. And, you know, he's clicking at such a high percentage in here, and he's got American history. He's no slouch. It was a bit of a disappointment when last seen, but we'll see if they're able to bounce back. And I wonder, like, do you think with the older horses it's much of a big deal that they missed the week, or do you think it's...
I don't think. Like, I mean, I guess maybe... Like, for example, on a horse like Jabberwocky, it's good for him.
Probably,
right? Because he was a vet scratch back on the 22nd, so a little extra time probably does him good. You know, whereas a horse like, say, Emmett, you know, who is just getting back into the swing of things, who knows, right? I mean, it just depends. See, I talked to some people last night, too, Jeff, and was worried about our friends that are based over at Western Fair, like in the London area, they probably missed some training last week because of the weather. Our friends in Peterborough, like Rileys, likely missed some training last week. Last night I was talking to Dawn Beatson about Sophie, you know, because I always go over and visit her, and they had missed some training because of the poor weather. So you got to take that into account as well.
Well, some poor people still don't have hydro back
know,
yet,
isn't that insane?
which is crazy. Like, I can't live without hydro for an hour.
I know. They're on like day 7 right now.
Crazy.
If you're up in the Aurelia area, the Muskoka area, it's unbelievable.
Absolutely nuts. So hopefully you've got the generator going. If you don't have power and you're able to have the laptop on or the TV on and are
I'd
able
be
to
getting
play
out
some...
of Dodge if I could. You know, after like day 3, I'd be like, you know what, I've had enough of this.
For a week. That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So we look forward to the program tonight. So not only do we have the New Holland, we have a preferred tonight, and we'll see if Tarasi can get in the winner's enclosure. That will be coming up a little bit later on the card, or can odds on capitalism keep the roll going? The thing that might hurt odds on capitalism and some of the other horses is missing that week.
Yep.
You know?
I would agree. And like I said, you just have to kind of take into account where are they based? Were they able to get training into them? Were they able to go a strong mile somewhere? You know, some of them come here to get a good mile into them. Or, you know, if they're based out in those areas that got the bad weather, how much time did they miss?
So some big scratch in this race. Obviously, the biggest of which in the opener is JK Together again. That horse was on a real roll coming into this race. If we could just freeze the odds right now, you and I would be very, very happy because Trosa right now at 9-1 is obviously a massive overlay. Redwood Hanover has been good, had not the easiest of journeys last time out. The thing with Trosa that has impressed me so much, Lisa, is I just think it's taken a while for him to acclimatize to everything. He's such a big horse too.
Yeah.
He's not a small guy, so I think he's really good right now.
Yeah, that's kind of unusual because every time I see a Huntsville, they're big, but not so the case with Trosa. We've
No,
both
he is
landed.
big.
He is big.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought you were saying he was small.
No, he is big.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all
Yeah,
right.
he's big.
Well, that makes total sense now because I was going to say all these Huntsvilles are big,
Yeah.
but it takes them a little bit of time to get their legs underneath them, and we're going to both land on him in the top spot thanks to the scratch of the 8. JK together again. When I was driving in to work here tonight, I saw a horse getting on the trailer, and I thought, well, that's not normal. So, normally they're all coming off, not going back on and heading back home. So I knew we were in for scratches, but not necessarily all of these. I mean, that's a major scratch to take JK together again.
Yeah.
And that's a 6 scratch for the 6 as well, and a lame scratch for the 5. Randy and I were talking about this when we were working together on Thursday. This weather has been really
Tough.
funky and tough for horses because they go from very cold where you're putting blankets on them to, a swing of 20 degrees difference overnight, and now they're hot. So of course they're going to get sick when they go from hot to cold and cold to hot. It's hard for their bodies to acclimate to.
It is, and it's just there's no consistency right now.
No, there isn't. There isn't. Like, look at it right now. It's damp. It's cold out. Everybody's going to have blankets on again. Whereas last night it was not so bad. It was quite lovely.
Yeah. So both you and I going towards Trosa. Obviously, we respect Redwood Hanover. I just think it's a little bit over bet right now at odds of 2-5.
Yeah. So hey, it would be great to see this Trosa in the winner's circle, though. He's been very good this year, and with JK together again, it becomes extremely wide open.
Let's get to the second now on the card as we have 9 of them to choose from in here. James, as per usual, had his choice of a bunch of horses on tonight's card, and it definitely came into effect here with Stone Carver. He had his choice of this one, Woodmere Roll and Pop, and also the 9, that being Nighttime Dancer, but he shows up with Stone Carver for Anthony Beaton. Could be a beaten double.
I did the same thing. Did you put this horse on top? No, you didn't.
I did not.
Okay. See, I was kind of listening to James here, thinking he could have drove Woodmere Roll and Pop. He could have drove Nighttime Dancer, and he opts to go to Stone Carver. Some of the best races I've ever seen from Stone Carver are when they just send them.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming tonight we just send Stone Carver, and he keeps on going. Because when they send him, it's hard to stop him. He just keeps on rolling, and he can be a horse that goes gate to wire. So I'm going to listen to what James is doing here and use that horse in the top spot over the 3, all bets on Tex. And then I'll use Colby Two-Step, who's kind of been very, very cold when we expected him to be hot, and then he finally got that nice win last start out.
I just wonder, and that's why I went back to him. Visually, I thought I was impressed, and I wonder if maybe he went back to that barn and said, okay, I know what it means now to win a race. This feels pretty good, so we'll see if maybe he can double things.
It's true, but, like I said, he's a horse that we've expected some big things from, and look at how many times, they've made him the favorite, and
yeah, Pac-Man.
He's a Pac-Man.
He is a Pac-Man, loves to eat that money. Pop, 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 pop. I used to love that game so much. It was the best. Race 2 will be part of the pick 5. Let's get to the third now on the program. This will start off the pick 4. Now, we've got a field of 8. Now, you've been kind of following Tarasi very, very closely, because I remember the last time he raced, you and Randy came back on. You thought that Tarasi was maybe sitting on a good race. Were you brave enough to put him on top in here, or to go towards odds on capitalism?
No, because, I did use him up on top, but do you remember, you and I were working together on March the 15th when Poseidon Sealster opened up as the overwhelming favorite. Remember that night?
Yep.
And I think he stuck around as the favorite almost until maybe a minute to post. And then he floated up. And, he finished all right. He was 4th. But I used that for the next start out on the 22nd.
And you got a good price.
And I got a good price that night, and he won. So I used Tarasi because I think tonight's the night that we push the go button with him. In fact, I think Doug could have a really good night tonight. He's got a lot of live drives. But Tarasi, I think, is the big one that he starts things off with. And then I'll use Poseidon Sealster because he was so good back on the 22nd. And then this 4-horse odds on capitalism, like, how do you knock him right now? This is a really good preferred.
Well, let's take a look at him, because in his most recent race back on March the 15th, he was able to win by 3/4 of a length, and he beat James on this day, the Marner charge in here, who races very, very well. And odds on capitalism, extended the streak in here. My only concern with this one, and with Marigo Magic, is the fact that they've missed some time. Not their own fault, but just the way things have gone. And let's face it, this race a little bit longer, James might have gone to Juan this day.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible. I just think that this is a really evenly matched preferred. And I'll tell you something else too. I'm excited to see the return of Write Me a Rose. I've been a big fan of Write Me a Rose over the years. This horse has been fantastic. Like, he's made almost $600,000. He's coming back here at 10-1 in the morning line. He's been racing down at the Meadowlands. He's back here in the Fellows outfit. He's just a super cool horse, and likely, is facing some really tough ones tonight. But when he gets his legs underneath him back here, he's a tough customer as well.
There's a look at the selections there, at least towards Tarasi. You're going to get a price. I think you will be maybe second choice, possibly third. I think you'll probably be second choice, though. I think odds on capitalism will be the favorite.
But, like, here's the thing. Do you want to take 1 to 5?
No, exactly.
Yeah,
You're playing it right.
And if you're going to get, look, how many times have we taken that price on Tarasi? Tonight, if you want to try and get a little bit of a return, is the night to play.
Yeah, you're right about that. Let's get to the fourth now on the card in here. This will start off the pick 6, and this is condition pace in here. You were mentioning all paces on tonight's program, which is a little bit of an oddity in here. And we get the return of Mama Sunburn. We're going to take a look at that qualifier for you coming up a little bit later on. But let's first of all start off our discussion here with Brookdale Johnny. And now, I don't know if you ever went fishing with your dad or not. So I don't know if you were much of an outdoors person.
Oh, yeah. With my grandfather, we went fishing quite a bit.
So you can, when I show you this replay, just ask me if I'm getting, just the bait is on the hook and I'm biting it right now, because it's in regards to Brookdale Johnny. I think this was a trouble trip last time out, and we'll show you exactly what we mean in here back on March the 22nd. He does have some speed, but doesn't show it on this day, and this was one of the pop-up races, and he's got a lot of work to overcome in here, and look where he is right now. I mean, he's last. And you're like, oh my cow, what are we going to do in here? The problem is, I just don't know what was in front of him. Like, Century Inspector was able to win the race on this occasion.
Gravitational.
But now we finally get towards the outside. Now we've got some real pace in here, and this is yet another beaten horse on today's card that looks absolutely large.
It does, but you know what? I think, in my opinion, this race could set up for an upsetter, because you have some really nice horses. You got Brookdale Johnny, you got, Pipe Wrench Charlie, who's a nice horse for the Cullens. You got Mama Sunburn, who's on the comeback, making the first start back. But I think, for me at least, this is a race you could go long shot shopping in.
Well, what do we do with Mama Sunburn? I mean, this is the morning line favorite in here, and this is probably based on reputation and what the horse is capable of doing. This Fortify replay is all over the place, because Fortify is obviously racing tonight and is going to win this qualifier. But watch the horse in third here, and this is Mama Sunburn. This, to me, is just a non-taxing qualifier. Like, JD is driving on this day, and he's just looking around saying, okay, I think this has served its purpose. But there's a lot left in the gas tank.
Yeah, but look at his tail up in the air too, and his tail's really swishing around a lot as well. I know, body language with some horses, that's not necessarily a good thing, and I can't quite remember if that's the way he goes. One thing I do remember about him, though, is that he's hard on his knees around those turns. So I wonder if tonight he's going to need a start, and that's why I'm using a bomb in race number 4.
I like it.
And that's Looking Like a Million, who's on the drop tonight. I mean, Looking Like a Million has been racing against the likes of J.K. together again, RJ Ringo, who you and I have been playing for most of the winter. These are very, very good horses. Now he's taking this move down here to try this non-winners of 5,400 in the last 5, coming out of those tough winners of 3, not more than 5. I mean, I get that he's one of the lightest winners in the group, but I just feel like, tonight you're going to get a price on him, and he could just pull off a minor upstart. Like I said, it could be a good night for this Quintanowski barn, because they have this horse on the program. They have Emmett's Buddy on the program a little bit later on as well. I just thought, why not go for a horse at a big, big price?
And what about the respect that Stonebridge Helios is getting, despite the fact the horse hasn't raced since October? The talent's there, but it has not won for a long, long time. It comes to the same qualifier as Mama Sunburn, but the morning line, very keen on those two horses coming out of that qualifier.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta look. I'm gonna sit on the sidelines and watch Mama Sunburn tonight.
Same.
I threw the horse in just near the bottom, just out of respect. But that's what I'm saying. I think even on Stonebridge Helios, I'd kind of like to see what he does tonight before I play him next start out. Because, Randy and I were talking about this on Thursday, Jeff, and you've been playing these horses for a long time too. We're so used to seeing 2 qualifiers. And lately, it's just 1.
Yeah.
So you wonder if that first start is almost like a paid qualifier sometimes, and then the second start out, we're good to go.
Yep, possibly.
But I'd like to just kind of watch those two, because there's a few horses over the last few days that I thought might be good to go off off the qualifier that needed that start.
It's funny because I see Logan Parks back in for his
Yes.
second qualifier on Monday, so
Yeah.
they're going to do the double qualifier with him. Now, obviously, he's going to Sweden,
He's a superstar,
so
yeah.
I'm not sure if he's going to start here before he goes over there or not. But race 4, a field of 10, and lots of different opinions there in that fourth race of the day. Fifth race on the program. This is an interesting race because some of your favorite horses in this race, you've been chasing Sergeant Slaughter forever.
Yeah.
Goes off the claim board. Gary Murner's been doing a lot of claiming as of late. He claimed Beastoni. Finally, that horse got
Wow.
claimed the
Yeah,
other
and he
day.
took him for some good money,
Yeah,
too.
40,000. We got equipment changes with the 4 and the 5 in here. Wheels on Fire, he's trying to get back on track in here. This is the old drop and pop, though, with me with codename Cigar Box. Do you
Yeah.
remember going to the races with your parents, like to Greenwood? Do you remember how many people used to smoke cigars at the racetrack?
Yeah, I do.
The big stogies.
But doesn't that smell bring you back to Greenwood when you smell it every once in a while?
That is a distinctive smell, and the smell of a pipe.
Oh yeah.
That's a really distinctive smell to
absolutely.
me, too.
My grandfather used to smoke a cigar while he was mowing the lawn. So I always think about him when I smell it. And here and there at Woodbine, you'll find a guy
odd
out there
one,
smoking a cigar. But yeah, codename Cigar Box is the way all of us are going, Jeff. It's a sweep with that one because, yeah, he's coming out of New Holland. Like, there's no Brew Hanover in here. Our good buddy Wheels on Fire, it's a tough post position tonight for him. But remember the last time they put him in this class, the nominators of 8,000, he was a winner.
Well, he gave me a heart attack back on March the 8th.
Me too.
When they pulled him up, I said, oh boy.
Yeah.
It was only broken equipment, so that's
Thank
no
goodness.
problem. Everything was
Yeah.
okay there. So codename Cigar Box are playing the exact. I think Sergeant Slaughter could be right there. I understand why they claimed him. I mean, they claimed him for a lot of money, but he's a consistent check getter. He doesn't win a lot these days, but he's a consistent check getter
Yeah,
nonetheless.
he is. Yeah, and then I think you used the 4 horse too, right?
Seriously Hanover.
Yep.
Yep.
Or sorry, and the 3.
Highland Beach
Lover
Lover. Yeah.
is a I mean, look, they're all kind of players in this race, but codename Cigar Box certainly getting some relief here tonight.
Race number 5 on the card. I had a tough time in the 6 separating Rolex and moving on over. So I'm going to give a slight nod to Rolex, but I'm not entirely sold that the horse is going to win. I could have made a case for moving on over. You did go towards moving on over, eh?
I did, but that's, a respect thing for me because I always like to play these breath hour horses. I have a lot of respect for Murray and the job that he and his team do with their horses. And this one, a nice winner. I had him that night on the 21st when he won. He was the heavily backed favorite because, he had a really nice debut when he finished in second. I don't see a reason why he can't come back and win here tonight. I get that he's coming from the outside, but it's not like there's 10 in here. He's come from the 8 hole. He doesn't necessarily show that he's a horse who wants the front end. He's a horse who can settle into like something exactly like what he did last time. He was 10 lengths out of it, and then he comes on with a big rush at the end and wins. So, why can't we get that same trip again here tonight? So I'll use the 8 over the 2, and then this 5 horse Blazing Cruiser.
Double qualifier, I probably put the horse on top.
I know.
But I just don't know if he needs one or not.
See, and that's kind of the theme over the last few days. It doesn't matter who's been working here over the last few days. We're all saying the same thing. You just don't know with just one qualifier.
Yeah, watch the board. That might be your
That's-
best clue to try and figure things out from that perspective. McWinner was a bit of a disappointment last time out, but now you've got that race under your belt in here. It's amazing, too, the number of horses that are coming off of layoffs on tonight's card, too.
Well, it's that time of year,
It
I
is.
guess. Eh?
It is. Race 7 on the day. We have a lot of changes with Reactor now. They're going to remove the blinkers. They're going to remove the Murphy blind on the left-hand side. So to make that notation, how Maximus is going from side rolls to blinkers in here. 10 of them to choose from in this spot. Now, I know that one of Randy's favorite angles is second-time Lasix, but I'm kind of hoping it strikes here with Windblown first-time Lasix in the spot. And guess who has another live entry on tonight's program? Anthony Bean. I not to put pressure on Anthony, but if he doesn't leave with a couple of wins tonight, I think he'll be disappointed.
Oh, I would think so too. And like you said, we were talking about this last night. Same thing. Randy likes second-time Lasix. You and I both love first-time Lasix because it's a huge thoroughbred move.
It is.
And Randy's argument with that is sometimes a horse needs to be on Lasix the first time to realize I'm not gonna, lose my breath and choke essentially, and then the next time they'll be more relaxed when they race. It's a totally different thing when you're playing the runners essentially, because we see first start Lasix and we jump all over that. But I'm with you with Windblown. I'm going to use him tonight simply because it's James. James is going to take over the driving duties here with this horse. If he gets onto the Lasix program, it's James and Beaton. We know that's a really good driver trainer combination. I'll use the 9, even though it's a tough post for Neptune because he comes in off of that second behind Colby 2 step.
Yep.
And then I got to toss in Armor Sealster because he, I know it's only the one win that he's had this season, but he helps you out so many times for the exotics.
Yeah, and he never takes money.
No, he never does.
Never takes money. So he always helps to spice things up a little bit in there, and he raced very well in the pop-up final. 60-1 certainly outraced his odds on that occasion, finishing 4th at that big number. Let's get to the 8th now on the card. Now, in this 8th race, we are going to have 5-year-olds and younger, not winners of 2 races a lifetime. And it's Saturday night, which means our good friend Andy Moore's in action with the big horse coming up a little bit later on. But he also has here Ben Looking. And I want to show you this replay because Ben Looking did something that I don't love to see. The horse on a second over trip on this day and then starts to do the old drifteroo down the stretch. And, it was a tricky night, though, so that might have had something to do with it. This was a really ugly
weather,
night, just maybe a little bit unsure with the footing and stuff like that. But, here right now you have the second over trip. Mood Control wins it, who's actually in this field. But watch Andy now, because right now we're in, the 4 path? We're going to end up like in the 6 or 7 path in here. And it's just a waste of energy, because you're going as fast towards the outside as you are going straight.
Yeah, but you know what? I think you're onto it. It's probably the track.
Could have been.
And, and also don't forget, too, these horses, they're going to hear a weird sound when they're racing in the mud as well, right? So they hear, obviously, the other horses. It can really affect a horse. I think he races great late, but I can remember, too, having riders come back after races and saying, he just hated the sound of the mud around him. Maybe he was trying to get away from that, and then he.
Well, not just that. I was talking with some of the drivers about the cancellation on Monday because we canceled on Saturday, and I said, well, why do you guys have to cancel? They said they couldn't see. So imagine being a horse.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't see.
You're taking away, and Randy's talked about this before, you're taking away senses, right? Their eyesight, their hearing is now extremely heightened. It's and then that feel of the rain pelting onto their bodies, it's so much to take in. Maybe an excuse there for him, but I just want to see what Stirrup Lane does again tonight.
Me too.
Yeah.
Do you think it was the style that got him beat? Was the competition?
You know what? Here's what I think, and take it for what it's worth. I think they were just trying to teach him something different last week, right?
Yeah.
So we've had 2 nice efforts where he's won from off of the pace, and then we sent him to the front end to see what he could do on the front end, and for that he just got a little leg weary and ended up finishing 3rd. I don't know what kind of trip we're going to see tonight from him, but I would expect he won't be going to the front end. Just a guess. So far it looks like he'd rather follow.
Mood Control for me, since they added Lasix, has totally turned things around. And Randy's angle hit, second time Lasix last week, right? And razor sharp right now for the Torini outfit is Mood Control. We'll see if that one can get in the winner's circle. But Stirrup Lane, I am very interested to see how
I guess we have to listen to Randy from time to time.
Yeah,
he is in the Hall of Fame.
He knows a thing or two. Race number 9 on the program. This is the final of the New Holland Pacing Series. So if you're fans of the show, you know that both Lisa and I, we really like Emmett's Buddy. So I made a betting boo-boo last week. I bet the horse to win in place.
Yeah.
So I got my place money.
Sure, you got good
the
money.
The exacta paid like $30.
Oh, you should have just,
Should have played the exacta because, Brew Hanover wins and this horse finished the second at 16-1. It paid great and I was just kicking myself after. I'm like, Jeff, you're such an idiot.
Well, that happens. Look, right before the show started here tonight, we're watching the racing at Aqueduct. I said, oh, look, there's a horse. It's a hunch bet, Jeff. It's Foggy at Aqueduct, and the horse's name was Phileas Fogg, and it won, and we could have put a couple of bucks on that one, too.
Now, I have to give Emmett a lot of credit in here. So in his first start, he comes home with the last quarter in 25-3. This time, he got away a lot closer to the pace. Brew Hanover's going to win it, but just watch Tyler in here, and this guy does fight to get second.
Oh, he's so cool. This is the little horse that can, right?
He's not so little anymore.
He's not so little anymore. You and I went over to see him because I wanted to introduce you to him a couple weeks ago when he was making his comeback, and I didn't even recognize him. That's how much he grew. And then I was so shocked at how much he grew, and not only up, but out as well. He's really bulked out. I brought Randy over to see him on the 22nd, and Randy couldn't believe it was him either.
Yeah.
And he's got a couple of carrots in my bag.
I'm glad Randy picked him. Because we're chalking him weasels in this race. He's at least taking a shot.
Well, and if you're going to try and beat this Brew Hanover, the little guy that can, what's the story about?
engine that could.
No, not the little engine that could. What, David and Goliath.
Oh, yes.
Right? He is that kind of guy. I've seen him do some pretty amazing things from time to time.
And just think, this is when you want a peak tooth. This is when the big money is on the line. They're going for 70 G's here.
Yeah, but he has such a big year ahead of him as
well.
well.
He does.
Yeah,
he does.
And he's just such a cool horse. So, and like we always say on the show, every time he wins, they ring the church bells in St. Claude, Manitoba.
Well, it's a little late to ring them at race 9 time.
Well, why not? They're probably all up watching.
Is it midnight? The clock tower is going.
Emmett won.
yeah. American history, I'm curious to see if he can bounce back. And powertrain, he's just not quite good enough right now to beat these horses.
Not quite there. I mean,
close.
it is going to be I just want to see what Brew Hanover does tonight when they're going to have to push him.
Yeah, exactly. Race 9, the new Holland Basin Series final. Let's get to the 10th now. Jackpot high 5. Carryover is $166,000. It continues to grow in here. You've got droppers and JMR Speak Away and Overthinking. And poor Regal Bub. No post-position luck here tonight, but big finish last time out. And we're going to show you the replay back on March 22nd. So he kind of got into a really cozy spot back on March the 15th. Remember, there were all those scratches on that day.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, oh, okay, he's going to move up in class, or can he be as good? He was really good yet again. He had a lot of ground to make up in here, but just watch the late surge that he has in here. Like, it's something. So, good for Andy Moore. He doesn't have the biggest of barns, but, man, he's got some powerful horses in here. And just watch how this horse finishes up here late in this mile.
Well, this horse has made him over 40 grand so far this season. So Andy's got to be really happy with him. I think the biggest disappointment is when you get the overnight and you find out you're leaving from the 10 hole. So they're going to have to see what they can do with that this evening.
Watch this burst right here, coming up here.
Right. So if you try to go for exactly that same sort of a trip, you don't necessarily get you hang out and wait till you turn for home and then you make your move. It could still work out from the 10 hole. I just think it might be tough to beat a horse like Overthinking.
Yeah.
Overthinking comes away from racing against JK Together again. And I use that as a reference earlier on with a long shot. JMR Speakaway comes out of these races against JK Together again as well. But look at Randy. He's going with the outside horse.
Oh, what? You only give 4 picks for the Jackpot High 5?
Yeah, I know. I forgot.
You're contractually obligated to give 5 picks. I'm surprised our producer Luke didn't give you a stern email.
It's all it's bad. Yep, my bad.
That's okay. Don't tell anybody. I missed a replay from earlier on the show.
Okay.
Don't tell anybody about that. We keep secrets here on Woodbine Racing Live. It's all good. Plays of the night. We got some of those to take a look at for you as well here tonight. And let's go with Mr. Waples. He'll hopefully be back with us on Monday. But the Hall of Famer, he does always get honors in here. And one of his horses has been scratched.
Oh, no.
Worst case scenario, he goes 3 for 3 tonight.
Okay.
All of us have Codename Cigar Box as one of our players tonight.
I would assume so.
Yeah. His Waples watch has been looking coming up in race number 8. So he's been watching that one a little bit. So
been looking. Oh, that's the other Andy Moore horse.
Yes.
Oh, he's really on to the Andy Moore
He is
train.
and he's beat the fave as Emmett's buddy.
Wow, why not? And what I got to remind myself. Well, my all-in's Tarasi tonight. I think if you're going to get a price on him, it's tonight.
Yep.
Looking like $1 million. The other Quintanowski horse. That's my upsetter. He's 10 or 15 to 1 morning line. Codename Cigar Box getting the class relief, and moving on over is my repeat horse for the night tonight. What do you got?
I got Brookdale Johnny's my trip handicapper play. Could also be my sucker play because I might be getting sucked into playing that horse tonight. My Brat's best of the night is Codename Cigar Box. Won't be much of a price, I realize that, but I just think it's in the right spot. My wake-up prospect's going to be Wind Blowing coming up in race number 7, and my repeat threat's going to be Boot Control with that Lasix. I think that horse could be installed for a good performance. Let's take a look at what John Rallis from the Racing Forum's got. His spot play is going to be Respect Our Flag. Ghislaine Paquettes. Boy, he says it's time to light one up for it's cigar time. And time's ticking on Garnett's Horse Players Journal spot play of the day, that being Rolex. Have you ever owned a Rolex?
Yeah, I have.
Have you really?
Well, not necessarily me, but someone I knew quite well. Had a couple of them.
Or did you go to the Pacific Mall and get one that said
No.
only had one L in it?
No. I think one was purchased in on vacation in St. Martin, I think.
Part de moi.
And another one came after a special award. was attained.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know where theirs are now.
So just to goes to show you that in horse racing, age is just a number. Guess who just won the big race at Aqueduct?
I saw Mike Smith.
Mike Smith.
I know.
Wow.
How cool is that?
He's got a Derby horse now with Rodriguez. That's pretty cool.
Rodriguez. But you know what? Just speaking of Derby fast, I was telling Randy the other day because he loves gray
Talk
horses.
Derby to me.
I know. Well, I was telling Randy the other day because he loves gray horses. I said, "Oh, Mark Cassidy has a gray
Sandman.
horse that you
Yeah,
might
he's
love."
nice.
And I know you talked to Mark. Have you talked to him at all?
It's funny.
Since?
I talked to his son.
Okay,
I
to Norm.
talked to Norm, and Norm and I are on the same page. We both agree this is his best shot to win the Derby.
I know. It's so exciting, isn't it?
Now, the only problem is this horse is a wicked closer.
Yeah.
So you have to avoid traffic trouble, and there's been 20 horses.
Well, there's that.
But his demeanor, he's just such a cool, calm horse, and that goes a long way, especially in, like, and same thing in standardbred racing. Demeanor, like if you can keep your marbles together on
Yeah.
big days, it helps big time.
Yeah, but you know, it's a whole different thing with these guys. They're
Yeah.
just so calm
I know.
in general,
I
right?
know.
And our thoroughbreds are just so wound up. Keeping them quiet right till the end of the day is a real tough test.
Yeah, it is. It is. Alrighty, so that does it for our pregame show here for tonight. We've got the New Hollands. We've got the Preferred. Beaton looks large on tonight's program.
I think Beaker could have a good night
Quinkowski
tonight.
looks good.
Quinkowski looks live tonight.
You're thinking that Mr. McNair looks
I
pretty
do
good
think-
too?
I do think
Alrighty.
Mr. McNair's gonna have a good night.
We'll see if any of these visions that we have
Look into our crystal
pay the way
ball.
to some success on tonight's program. We're 9 minutes away from post time for race number 1. More Woodbine Racing Live after this timeout.